Welcome back, guys. Let's get started. Let's open up the background picture in Photoshop and let's make a new blank document. Let's title this Your Last Name, Neon Fish Lesson. Let's do 6 by 9 inch, 300 resolution, and RGB color mode. Now, let's go ahead and grab that background picture and drag it into our new document and resize it down, of course, but we need to rotate it. So go to the corner, rotate it, and then hold Shift to do 180. And let's go ahead and rename that layer background. And we need to go and do file drop down and then go to place embedded. And let's go to that folder that we took off of Blackboard, which should be the neon fish art. Press on the neon fish picture and bring it in there. Let's just scale it down just a little bit. Now right now I scaled it down just a little bit too far, so I'm going to scale it back up just a little bit more. And I'm going to go and grab my pen tool, but this time let's go up to the very top left of our screen where it says path, change it to be shape. We can change our fill color or our stroke color. Go to the stroke, go to the color picker, pick a color, and let's go and to our stroke options and let's align it to the center, and let's change the cap to be round. Now let's change our size. This is very important. Put it at 4.68 and let's zoom into our fish picture. And let's start tracing it out with our pen tool. Now take your time and trace out each part of it, and don't forget to hold the option to click back onto that point to get rid of your handles to go on to your next point. Okay. Now there's one important thing I want to mention here is when you get to the very last point, hold your command and then click. It's going to end that path and you can move on to your next line. Continue to trace them out until they are all traced out, all of the white lines. And for the eyeball, go to the left hand side of your toolbar and go and grab the ellipse tool. Create your perfect circle, and we need to rotate it with our move tool to put the bottom point between those two endpoints. Now let's go to our pen tool, hold on it until it pops up, and let's grab the add an anchor point. Let's put 2 anchor points. Go back and let's grab our direct selection tool and let's get rid of that center point so that it's going to be a actual stroke and not a whole shape. We can go and grab all of our strokes that we just made and we can put them into a group and call that white strokes. So same concept as we just did. Let's go and grab our pen tool. Let's change up our stroke color. I'm going to pick purple and I'm going to trace out the red lines from that picture. So once I have traced out the red strokes, I'm going to put them all into a new folder and I'm going to call that red strokes. Now there's a couple that I'm pretty sure you guys have seen that look kind of off and it bugs me, so I'm going to go back and fix them with my direct selection tool or my direct path selection tool. And if you go in there and you are trying to adjust it, you put in an extra anchor point and it just still doesn't work, you can always try this. You can get rid of that point that looks terrible because sometimes it's just a lot easier to just redo it than to struggle. So get rid of it, grab your pen tool and click back onto the previous point and then go ahead and create new points until it looks a lot more curved off and clean. Sometimes that is the best method here. Okay, so fix any other points that you do see. Now for the sake of time, because I'm trying to keep this short, I'm going to do this kind of quickly, and you can take as much time as you want to just to make it perfect because we can spend a bunch of time on that. But for right now, let's move on. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the neon fish. We're going to go to the left hand side of our screen and grab the ellipse tool, and we're going to create a circle or an oval just to be technical. And we need to drag down both of your white and red strokes just to fit more cleanly on top of our picture because it looks a little bit more natural if we move it down. So let's press on to the background layer and let's put in a color lookup. Let's go to the top drop down and let's press Moonlight. That's going to help us get our base down. let's go ahead and do a curves adjustment, and let's grab that hand icon. And this part is up to you in what you do, because I'm just going to try to intensify the highlights and shadows to change up the whole look. Now if it's too intense, you can take down the opacity for the curves layer. Now we are going to go up to our white strokes, and we're going to go and grab all of our white strokes while holding our shift, pressing the top one and going to the bottom one. Let's grab our pen tool, let's go to the top, and let's change our stroke color to be white, not green. Same thing for the red stroke. Let's do that same concept. Let's change it to be white and not purple. Okay, and let's do that one more time for the ellipse. Now let's go to the right hand side of our white strokes layer, press on it twice to go into our layer styles, and this is where the magic happens. So let's start off by doing a outer glow. Do not check mark it, just press on it. And go and change the blend mode from normal to be linear dodge. Let's take the opacity up to 100 and the size and spread down to 0 for right now. Let's go to the color picker, and I'm going to pick out this color here, 1DFFF7. I'm going to copy that hex number. I'm going to go to the right hand side there into the gradient. I'm going to press foreground to transparent. So I'm going to apply to the bottom sliders that same color. So it's going to go from that blue to transparent. Now, the size is going to adjust how much of that color is going to move outwards from the center of that stroke. The spread is going to intensify it. So we can apply a color overlay, and we're going to apply that same color to it. 100% opacity. Let's do the inner glow next. Same thing. Blend mode is linear dodge. Take the opacity up to 100. Let's apply that white for our color picker in our solid color. Let's set the source to be center. Let's keep the choke right around 6. Nothing crazy here. And the size, let's take it back and let's do 5 or 6. That's fine. And go to the bottom contour, go to the drop down, go to the top right, and go to contours. Press append. I've already done that, so I'm going to cancel. Look for half round. That will help us out here. Now the magic happens when you change up the range slider. I put mine at 45, put yours at 50. 50 is going to look a lot more natural. Now the trick is we cannot do more than one outer glow, but we can do multiple drop shadows. Let's apply a drop shadow. Let's change the blend mode to be linear dodge, and let's apply the color to be the color that I had picked, 1DFFF7. Let's apply the opacity to be right around 90. Keep the distance at 0 because we don't want it to move. We can take the spread down to around 6 or 7 and the size up to around 24. Now, if you go to the drop shadow on the left, you should see a plus. Hit that plus, and it's going to make a copy of it. So for that next copy down, we can take the opacity down to around 70, the spread up to 8, and the size up to 27. Let's do this one more time. Let's take the opacity to about 50, the spread to around 15, and the size to around 50 because I'm a perfectionist. And let's hit the OK button. Now the cool thing is that we can apply these same effects to the red stroke. So what is cool here is that once we are done here, we can press OK, we can hold the option button, and we can click and drag the effects to our red strokes. So hold the option, click and drag up, and we need to go back into our effects. We need to go into our color overlay, and we need to pick a new color. So for my new color, I'm going to press FF3472. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it into my outer glow as well as my drop shadows, and that will be good to go. Well, I'm going to press the OK button, and it's the same exact concept. I can hold the option button and click and drag that down into the ellipse. Rename the ellipse layer to be ground oval light, and we'll be good to go from there. Next thing that we need to work on is applying more of our light, our fake light. So let's go up to the white strokes folder. Let's press on our new solid color layer, and let's just put in that blue color from before. Let's make a duplicate 3 more times, and I'm going to change up the bottom 2 solid colors to be that pink. So I'm going to rename the top layer Faded Glow. The next layer is going to be Pinpoint Glow, and so on and so forth. So the key here is we're going to do 2 things. We're going to use our Command I on our layer mask to flip them, and we need to apply a soft light blend mode to be on all 4 of those solid color adjustments. Now we need to go and grab our paintbrush and we need to paint inside. Let's start off with our pink pinpoint glow. So make sure that you paint with white and make sure that it is normal on the blending mode, and do a very soft round paintbrush. Make it smaller, zoom in onto your artwork, and this one is going to be where the light is more intensified. It's going to be at the start of each point, each line. If there's going to be creases or corners, it's just where the light is going to be more intensified here. Now for the faded glow, increase the size of your brush just a bit more, but keep it very soft, and this is where the light from the pink is going to interact with the background more. It's going to glow and it's going to apply to the background like it's actually physically there. Now if it's too intense, you can take the opacity down for those 2 layers to be right around 70. I'm putting the faded glow at 70 and the pinpoint at 75. Now do the same concept for the top 2 solid color adjustments. Now let's go down to the curves adjustment layer that we have, and let's do a new solid color. We're going to make this that pink color for the ground light. So I'm just going to copy that hex number. I'm going to paste it in there and do that same concept. I'm going to make 2 of them, and I'm going to flip the layer mask with my Command I, and it's going to just help to make this whole light look a lot more realistic. So use your white paintbrush and paint. And for this one, I take the opacity for the paintbrush down to right around 60%, just because it's a lot easier to kind of build up the light. The problem I forgot to do here is I forgot to change the blend mode from normal to be soft light for those 2 layers. Soft light is going to interact with the background picture and to make it look a lot more realistic. It's going to interact and it's going to make this color look like it's going to pop off the screen. So you can take the opacity down if it's too much. And I'm going to do 2 more of these solid color adjustments. I'm going to put in the blue hex number, and it's that same exact concept, but this time it's going to be the color from the top of the fish interacting with the background at the top. Make sure to paint with your white paintbrush and to change the blend mode to be soft light. So I'm just doing this just to make sure that you are changing your blend modes, because that's very important to creating this whole fake illusion. Now one problem I had here is that the glow was just too much and it took away the details between those lines in the background. So what I'm going to do is put 2 more solid colors on top of the blue. I'm going to choose black, and it's that same concept. I'm going to flip the layer mask with my Command I. I'm going to set the blend mode to be soft light, and I'm going to paint behind that fish with black, but I'm going to paint with white inside of the layer mask to show it. It's going to just intensify and it's going to create more depth between the picture and the fish. And because I am very particular with my organization, I'm going to put those solid colors at the bottom into a group and call that lights. And I'm going to go to the white strokes folder at the top. I'm going to apply 3 new adjustment layers. So vibrance, I'm going to do photo filter, and I'm going to do curves. Now I want you to put the vibrance at the top, curves at the bottom, and the photo filter in the middle. For the curves, you can go and grab the hand icon and just drag up and down on the picture, the background, and just really intensify it even more, get even more details, even more dramatic changes. Onto the photo filter, if you go to the forming filter dropdown, go to the cooling filter 80 in the parentheses and take the density up to around 60. Now I like to have the blue more intensified here, and if it's too much, we can go inside of our layer mask for our photo filter with our black paintbrush and just kind of paint out right in the center. I want some of the green from the leaves to show through. And then we're going to go up to our vibrance. Take the vibrance slider all the way over to the right to right around 50 and the saturation to around 2. It's just going to intensify those colors just a bit more and pull them all together. Now we're going to really draw the attention of the viewer into the center. So go and do a new adjustment. Do the gradient. Let's do foreground to transparency. And let's do those bottom 2 sliders as black. So the style, let's change it to be radial. Let's change the scale to be around 133%, and let's hit reverse. You can click and drag where the transparency is, and if you need to take out more, grab your black paintbrush and paint inside of the gradient fill layer mask. A trick is if you go to the very topmost layer and you hit this really long keyboard shortcut, Shift Option Command E, is going to take a snapshot, and I'm going to rename it snapshot, and I'm going to put those top adjustment layers into a folder. I'm just going to call that top light adjustments, and then I'm going to basically go inside of the snapshot, go to the filter drop down at the top, and go to camera raw filter. This is something that we've talked about a tiny bit, but not a whole lot. Now I'm going to adjust the temperature slider at the top to be more on the blue side and the tint to be more on the pink side. You can go through yours and adjust it how you want to. Contrast is important, highlights and shadows are important, whites and blacks are important. I think texture and clarity are very handy here because it puts in more texture, more sharpening. And if you look at the top, you have a lot more to choose from. And we can go through all this, but go to the hue, saturation, and luminance adjustments, and you can go in there and change up the colors, the amount of colors, the type of colors, and go one more to the right, go to split toning. This is a very interesting one. You can change up the colors, you can change up if there's more of the highlights or more of the shadows. So I like to just kind of put them on the blues and pinks and just adjust it till I get more of that blue color showing through. Now you can go and put some green to it just to match the background picture, but you don't have to. Press OK, and that's it, guys. Make sure to save this out as a PSD, and we will go on to our next lesson here very soon. And if you have questions, let me know, but that's it. See you guys.